Hello there, and welcome to Empower Your Soul. I am going to, for this episode, answer the backlog of questions that have come in through my inbox. And you may have noticed that, number one, I love and appreciate all questions, comments. So if you send it to me, I'm going to try my hardest to get them answered for you here on this podcast. But also, you may have noticed if you go out to my website, I have redesigned it. Essentially, I've moved it over to a new platform, which I'm really, really excited about. So the form might look, I don't know, a little bit different, but please know that I want to hear from you. And if you don't want to go on my website to ask a question, a comment, feel free to just email me. It's just podcast@mediumnicole.com. So feel free. But I wanted to take the time today, obviously, to go through and answer the questions that many of you ask, questions and comments. So thank you so much for those of you that I'm going to read this for. So first of all, the most recent one in my inbox came from Alicia, and she sent me a note referring to the Akashic channeling on how we deal with the chaotic energy of the politics that are going on right now. And she says, Nicole, I want to thank you for this episode. I am a blue dot living in the middle of Missouri, a very red state. I am surrounded by red, and honestly, it's quite suffocating. My husband was born and raised here. He's also a blue dot. The majority of his friends, if not all, are red. I don't know how to navigate this. This episode came at a really good time. I know if I don't work on me, things will not get better emotionally and mentally. Good thing Leslie Fear had you on her podcast. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to hear this one or of yours. Thank you, Alicia. And Alicia, thank you for being here. So this is a podcast I did for Leslie, and it's called I Want to Know. And she interviewed me, and I talked about, all things I talk about on this podcast. It was a lovely conversation I had with her. We instantly connected, but I'm so glad you were able to find me through her. And that's why I'm trying to guest on other podcasts, just so that I'm getting my voice out and getting people to know me. And Alicia, I'm so happy that episode resonated for you, because I'm sure you could hear it within the episode. I was born not to talk about politics, right? That's how I was raised. I was raised not to talk about politics and religion, and it's a very uncomfortable, I'm going to say, topic for me in terms of me wanting to be a people pleaser and not make waves and cause drama and cause agita for other people. So this is something I'm actively working on. So I am so appreciative of your email coming in and letting me know how much it resonated with you. Other folks have texted me, messaged me, and saying how much it resonated with them as well. And I just want to thank all of you for letting me be that open space for all of you and letting me channel the messages as I have heart attacks doing it. And I really hope to continue to do more of these, because I'm a blue dot in the middle of a blue state, but all the towns around me are red. So I am going to say that. So there are a lot of red people around where I live. And it's just so interesting, because I think those of us that are blue in the blue states, we're feeling it too. And I think it's just this collective consciousness, this collective feeling of anxiety and this feeling of powerlessness. And I have to say, and this is what I love about the Akashic Records, I had no idea what was going to come out of my mouth. And I have to tell you, it was very healing for me to channel those messages as well. So I definitely plan on doing more of those. But thank you so much for your email, Alicia. I truly appreciate it. I'm wishing you the best of luck out there in Missouri. And by the way, I've been there. Lovely state, lovely people. It's just, other side of the house in terms of politics, which is fine. We all have our journey. All right. So the next one is from Shell. Thank you so much for the Shell. She says, apologies first for the lengthy question. And by the way, it was not a lengthy question at all. I listen and watch you regularly, love your podcast. Without giving you the long story, after a rough year of grief, I now have to do a lot of difficult stuff. I'm afraid that doing so, I will not talk to my loved one as often, and afraid it will cause a loss in trying to connect with them. Is that a crazy thought? And it's so funny, Shell, because I thought I was going to answer this in a different way. And then I just read your message, and Spirit literally just stepped in next to me, and they're going to help me answer this for you, because as I'm just feeling this, I feel like there's a lot of loss, especially in a female connection with you. And I just want to put that out there. And I just want you to know that they're always around you, whether or not you're actively talking to them or not. So I just want you to know that spirit is always there. And especially those of us that are mediums as well, the skill set does not go away if you decide to step away from this work. It doesn't, because the skill set is something that you learn how to do, and it's like learning a language. You might be a little rusty if you don't talk about it, or if you don't do it after a little while, but once you get back on the horse, it's like a muscle memory, and all of that inner knowing, the ability to connect, it comes rushing back. So I want you to know that you will not have difficulty trying to connect with them. It may be, I'm going to say, a little spotty when you start to reconnect with them, but that ability will never go away. So, I think this is really important, because a lot of the times, this spirit really is going off the deep end here. I personally have gone through, God, where's my English? Gone through phases where spirit steps back for me. And this was especially in the beginning of my journey, when I was working really, really, really hard at mediumship, and I was practicing literally for hours a day in this modality. And then at some point, spirit stepped out. And as much as I tried to connect with them, they wouldn't connect with me, or the information that came through was wrong. And my spirit team always warned me, right? Like, there were readings that I was trying to do, and they gave me like a red light. And that to me is like, nope, you're not doing this reading. No, I haven't seen that in a while, in case you're wondering. But I would push through regardless of what they wanted for me, because I am a very motivated, relentless person who is going to push through, and who is going to just overcome my obstacles without excuses, right? And then what happened is spirit stepped back, and they're like, well, you know what? You don't have to connect. We don't have to be there for you. And usually when there's signs that spirit has taken a step back, that's a sign for you that you need a break. And it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means that your energy is spent. You can't do this at high quality anymore, and they're going to take a step back for you. So, Shell, I want to say that spirit's actually probably pretty happy for you, because they want to help you succeed in your goals. And it sounds like, as you mentioned, you have a lot of difficult stuff to do. So they will willingly take that step back to make sure that you are being and doing the human things that we need to do here in the physical world. So yes, please take that step back from spirit. They're going to encourage you. And honestly, if you ignore them, they're probably going to step back from you anyway, until you get it done, because some things we just got to get done. So, and then, to close out the story, spirit will come back when it's time to come back, right? When you've had your rest, when you've done the work, they will come back at the time that's appropriate. And I think the best thing I can say is everything happens in divine timing, Shell. So do what you got to do. It won't go away, and they will be there when the time is right to do so. I hope that answers your question. All right. Diana asks, here's what she wrote in. Hi, Nicole. I've been listening to your podcast for some time and had questions about communicating with spirit / ancestors / past loved ones. Is there an actual language barrier? Do you have to know the native language to effectively communicate? Please know that this is a very respectful question. I'm a first-generation Vietnamese Chinese descent, and sometimes I worry if I go to a medium, there will be a language barrier on receiving a message. Thanks in advance. Please keep us updated on the shamanic course. I hope it gets better. So yeah, I did that yesterday, which is great. With love and light, Diana. So Diana, this is such a great question. And to be honest with you, I've posted so much over social media since I started this work that I forget that a lot of these things that I talked about years ago, and I haven't actually updated anybody or reminded anybody of it. So great question here. No, there is no language barrier with spirit. And that's because language doesn't exist on the other side. It's only energy. So I can tell you that I have channeled spirits from all over that lived all over the physical world here. I've channeled Italian people, like German people, Polish people, right? Like I channeled a Filipino woman, right? Like, so it really doesn't have any limitation on where they were in the physical world. So just because you might have relatives that are Vietnamese and Chinese descent, I could still pull them in and read for them because they're going to send me energy, because the energy of a cat, for example, is the energy of a cat, no matter what language you spoke here. So no, there is no language barrier. There might be, however, a little bit of a cultural barrier, which I think is a very timely, it's just timely for me to answer this, because yesterday I had a reading with a lovely woman from Australia. Hey, if you're listening. And spirit always has to show me things in the way that I know and I experience it. And then I have to essentially interpret that and relay that information to you as the sitter, as my client. And you have to take that and interpret it the way that you can. So some examples of the weird things that came through, and I think spirit makes no accident. There's no accidents working with spirit, because I'm sure they showed these to me yesterday so I could talk about it as I'm recording this today. But for example, I was saying, and I can't remember the specifics, but I was saying that somebody leaves pennies, someone leaves coins. And I'm like, I don't know what the Australian denomination is, but I'm seeing pennies in my head. So you're going to have to, so it's some sort of a coin in your denomination. And they also showed me, which was really funny, how do I say it? Looked like the Oregon Trail in my head, right? It looked like some family members were moving out west in the prairies with the covered wagons, and they were moving locations trying to find food and shelter, and they were very, very nomadic. So the way spirit showed me that was like looking like the Oregon Trail. And I said, obviously, you don't have an Oregon Trail, but I'm getting this feeling of nomadic ancestry that moved around to find things, or to find optimal locations for the family to survive. And that's exactly what happened. So as I see the Oregon Trail, what actually happened is that her family moved from Greece to Australia. The dad did, and the dad moved there so that he could get paid, and he sent the money back to Greece. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying like it's all an interpretation, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of a mindset of what it's like to receive these messages from spirit, because they pull out the Oregon Trail from me, and I have to interpret that and say that neutrally in a way that you can take as the sitter. So I would say, Diana, you might have to watch out for, I'm going to say, more of those cultural things. And I would say just be more open to interpretation. So for example, I might see a giant bowl of pasta because I'm Italian, and that might be like, I don't know, a bowl of fried rice for you. You know what I mean? So just, so take the gist of what they're saying, but the actual evidence, the actual specific evidence might be more difficult for the medium to get, just because they don't have that same mindset, those same memories, those same perspectives as you. So I would say that would be the only limitation I would want you to be aware of. Does that help? I hope that helps, Diana. Okay, so the next one up is from Paula. I'm sorry, Paula. This is probably so old because it was related to my year-end tarot spread. But what Paula did was email me her tarot spread for the year. And she wrote down the energy of the year, and then wrote down each month and what tarot cards she received. And she said, I did my tarot for the year. Scares me some. I'm working on my mediumship, so the cards of the year make me want to do them over. So I'm going to be 10 out of 10 honest with you, Paula. I read your things, and I could see like a couple of themes, but I am by no means a tarot expert. And mainly because I read the cards intuitively. So if I had the cards in front of me, I would be pulling out common themes, common pictures across them. I would be feeling into each of the cards and getting the energy of the cards and trying to interpret that, because that's how I tend to work with tarot. Is I will use them as a tool to give my brain a different opening for spirit to work in. So when I do cards, it will be like, I'll look at a picture, I'll go to wherever my eyes are. I'm just going to pull a card in front of me. I'll go to wherever my eyes are on the picture, and like I'm looking at, for example, this card right now that has a woman and she's got a glowing chest, for example. So like I'm going to I'm drawn to the glowing chest, and I'm getting this feeling of fullness, of love, of completion. So that's the energy I'm getting from the card I'm looking at, for example. So that's how I read tarot. So if I go to the actual tarot meanings, which is where I started, by the way, I love that. If you are true to the tarot meanings, you go girl, you go boy. I'm cool with that. But I'm going to be completely honest with you too, because it was 12 cards, 13 cards that you gave me. And I don't know what I don't know. What I did, to be completely 100% honest with you, is I took your notes that you sent me and I dropped it into Chat GPT and I said, summarize these by quarter. So I cheated. But I think it works, and I think it doesn't change the cards, right? But it was able to bring it together and simplify things for you a little bit, or for me a little bit, trying to read and understand your cards. And like any tarot spread, you have to take what resonates and kind of discard what doesn't. So I'm gonna break it down super quick for you, if you don't mind, everybody, to talk about what this tarot spread was. So January through March, and I realize we're almost halfway through it at this point. She received the Ace of Wands, the Six of Wands, and the King of Cups. So I want to tell you, Paula, your year is going to start with a ton of energy with the Ace of Wands, the King of, right? And it's going to be like early successes with the King of Cups and the Six of Wands, right? A lot of recognition in February, and then March, what happens after you've had a lot of momentum in March, you're going to be able to balance that with, I'm going to say, more stability. Like it's going to be this quick up, and then it's going to be a little stabilized in a very good way in March. So that quarter right there is about harnessing your creative passion. So it sounds like mediumship, celebrating your wins, and kind of thinking about how to take these things from an emotional maturity perspective, and like calm leadership. So you have a lot of things going on, but you need to stay calm about it. Does that make sense? And then with April through June, Q2, you had the Eight of Swords, the Knight of Cups, and the Magician. And by the way, you had a ton of major arcana, so I'm obsessed with that, Paula. So the second quarter with the Eight of Swords, not the nicest of cards. I can see why you wanted to pull them again, but it starts with feelings of restriction or doubt in April. So April might be the month where you're starting to feel like, I don't know if I can do this. But with the Knight of Cups next, and the Knights are always action. They're always moving forward. They're always like passionate. So with the Knight of Cups, you're going to get renewed in May. So stick with it is how I'm reading that. And then in June, because it's the Magician, you are really stepping into your power. Like you are using your skills to manifest your desires. So April through June will be all about like manifesting your desires, removing mental blocks, and just stick with it to reclaim the power and figure out the life that you want, right? Like that's what that energy is telling for me. And when we get into July through September, you got 3 reversals in here. You have reversed Judgment, reversed Devil, reversed Ace of Cups. So if I read into the energy of those cards, this July through, once you're like, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I've overcome that block. You're going to start releasing what no longer serves you. So that's like the reverse Judgment. So July might be about like self-reflection, making some different decisions, and then August, you're going to continue to break free of toxic patterns, limiting beliefs. And then when you get to September, it's going to be like reverse Ace of Cups. So you're going to have emotional healing and self-care. So July through September, I'm going to say probably doesn't feel super great because you're going into you and releasing a lot of things that no longer serve you. So it's going to be a transformative period to really look at your shadows and bring yourself emotional renewal. And if that ain't a journey for mediumship, everybody, I don't know what is. Because like I said on my Spiritual Awakening podcast, what this whole journey is going within ourselves and undoing the toxicity, undoing the shadows, undoing the negativity. So you're going to be doing that this year. Sorry. But if you want to be the best medium you can be, you have to, as part of the path here. All right. And then when we bring it to October through December, so the last quarter of the year, you have a reversed Eight of Cups, a 10 of Cups, and a Queen of Pentacles. And I love that you started I love that you start the year with the King of Cups. And then you kind of end the year with the Queen of Pentacles. So when I read into those cards, again, reverse Eight of Cups, you're still going to be going through and releasing what doesn't align with you. It's going to be a journey. I don't think it's going to end in October, to be honest with you. In November, because you're moving into the 10 of Cups, like it's going to start feeling good. You're going to start feeling like you've overcome the major hurdles and obstacles, and you're going to start bringing in, I'm going to say more like joy, harmony, connection with your loved ones. And then by December with the Queen of Pentacles, you are grounded, you are thriving, you are balancing your responsibilities and being nurturing about it. So the end of the year is all about closure, embracing fulfillment, and stepping into a place of stability and abundance. So overall, like if you look at this year, it moves from success to deep emotional and spiritual transformation, and then bringing clarity and stability by the year's end. So this is going to up level you. I wouldn't be discouraged by this at all. But I think that this is going to be a year of transformation for you. And that's not bad. That's great. So I love that for you. Love that for you, Paula. Okay. And then you said the energy for the year is like, damn. Hang on. What was that one? Reverse Knight, King of Wands. Yep. No, that's true. That's true. And I think that lines up with what I've said there. Okay. So you also have a question. So let me answer that for you. So you asked, when I connect with spirit, I feel this wave of emotions, love and joy. It is so overwhelming that tears pour down my cheeks every time. Is this something that will subside over time, or will I always be a blubbering mess? One time, after weeks of just, quote, not being able to connect, and look at that common theme. I talked about that. I got this wave of anger, frustration, and love wash over me. It was like spirit saying, oh my God, finally, let's get the show on the road. And because we love you all at once. Pretty funny, because sometimes I feel like I try so hard, I miss the mark, I guess. Anyways, I'm glad to find you again. Oh yeah, I was in Hannah's school for a little while that was open. I'm really enjoying your podcast. Have a place to belong while I listen in. And you live on a farm in rural South Carolina in the Bible Belt. Kindred souls on this podcast, everybody. No mediumship circles near me, so I'd love to sit with like-minded folks. Oh, thank you so much, Paula. So, the emotions spirit brings through is real. And by the way, I feel like I answered your other points in the earlier questions, so I love that. So I'm going to address here just the emotions of spirit. And I have to kind of remind my clients about that, because whenever you're feeling this giant wave of emotions, it is spirit bringing those emotions through. And it feels, especially for someone like me that tends to not want to, what are emotions? I wasn't raised with emotions. No feelings were allowed in my household. So the fact that also when I started my spiritual journey, I sobbed uncontrollably with every reading as well. So I want you to know, number one, totally normal. And I'm going to set the intention to ask spirit for an answer about why things are so big and emotional. But I want to let you know the way that I navigated that in the beginning of my journey is I would tell people, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to cry. This is the energy of spirit sending love through me. And so that's what they're making me feel, is the love. You can ask your team to tone it down a little bit. I have readings where I'm like, we're not crying anymore. You got to knock it off. And then they will back off that energy for me. So I always give feedback to my team about the energy and the emotions that are coming through. So try that, Paula. And then in terms of why, I'm here. So in terms of why you get the crazy intense energy, because you need to feel this is real, is what I'm hearing them say. And I don't know if that applies to you as well as other people listening to this podcast, but it's physical evidence that you know that that's not you, that's spirit, because you know that you would not have an emotional response like that to this work. You know that it's spirit. So it's almost like this validation for you that you're doing the right thing, that they love you, that you're on the right track. It will subside over time, but I'll be totally honest with you that there are still meetings every single week with clients where I cry. Every single week. And I try to make sure spirit knows, like, I don't want to cry more than the person in front of me, because that's not cool. Like, that's not appropriate. But they will make me feel the love and feel that energy and feel the emotions to help elevate, and I'm hearing the word elevate, my readings with clients. So know that whatever spirit is sending you is perfect. There's nothing you're doing wrong. There's nothing that you need to change. But if you need help handling those big, strong emotions, and like, I feel like it's doing a clearing out for you, Paula, because I see like them scooping out the inside. So I think they're infiltrating your body with love while they do that, so that you're more open to the bigger and more loving and caring messages. And it's going to just help you with the work. So yeah, I think it'll continue on for a little bit. I do think they'll back off at some point, but I don't think it will completely go away. Pay attention to what turned you into that blubbering mess. That might be an indicator of maybe some of that shadow work that you're going to have to do around mid-year. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Okay, so those are the questions I had for today. Thank you so much for sending those in, the questions, comments. I appreciate every single one of you. Again, if you have questions, if you have things going on in your mediumship and you just want me to like tap in, check the energy, see how it's going, I am more than happy to answer that for you. If you had an experience with a medium or a psychic and you wanted some feedback, please do that. I'd love to answer all these questions for you. Again, head to my website, mediumnicole.com. And click on podcast. There's a form there, or you can just email me directly at podcast@mediumnicole.com. But I just want to thank you all. I hope you're all having a wonderful new year. I hope you are all celebrating, or it's New Year. It's February, people. I hope you are all hanging in there with the chaotic energy that's going around. I feel like it's starting to settle. I really hope so. But I hope you're able to hold your own energy despite everything that's going on. All right. Mwah. I'm sending you all the love. Take care, everyone.